Okay, in this last video, I will explain how you can extend this plugin to work with ChatGPT, Gemini, and things like that. And maybe you can even do a pull request and integrate that into this project. So for that, you need to pretty much know just two classes, okay? One is the LLM interface and the Ollama API one. You can see Ollama extends LLM interface. LLM interface is pretty much, well, an interface as it is called in other languages like C#, right? It is an interface to tell what are the methods that are available to use in the rest of the plugin. So it has, this is a method you don't need to override, and then it has these four methods for you to override. Now, send get models request is to get the list of models for the hub, right? For this. And read models response is to read the response of whatever this request, get models requests return. Okay, so you read it and you return an array of strings that is the models you have available, right? The other function is send chat request. This is the one that sends the whole history every time you put something in the chat, right? This is calling the send chat request method. And the read response is the one that will be able to find whatever the assistant responded and return it as a string. Now, how the Ollama API class does this is very simple. And for doing this for ChatGPT, let's say, it would be almost like copying this class. So actually, let's do that. Let's do that. I will go create new script, and I will call it ChatGPT API. Okay, so I have it here. What I will do is copy the Ollama API, and it will be called ChatGPT API. So the most important thing you need to remember is that you are writing some REST requests. That's pretty much what we are doing here. If I go to the Ollama documentation, right, you will see it has a few endpoints you can call, like API generate, etc., etc. So there's one to get the list of local models, API tags. Okay, that's the endpoint. So if we check the code, you will see I have this here, API tag. So what are we doing? We're getting the base URL that is whatever is here, right? Here. And then concatenating that to the API tags endpoint. Then we are calling this, sending the headers we have here. This is a GET request, and then we just check if there were any errors. Sending the request, not in the response, just sending the request. Okay. With this, we are getting the list. Now we are going to do the same for ChatGPT. So how I get the list? Let's see if I find maybe models list of list models. List models API. Okay, it seems this is the one I was looking for. Okay, so B1 models, that is my endpoint. So instead of API tags, I will put B1 models. How is this called? You will find it in the documentation. You need the header authorization, blah, blah, blah. This is your OpenAI key, right? So you will add that to your headers, okay? And here you put your key. Of course, if you are making a pull request, make sure you make this part of some configuration file so you don't expose your OpenAI key to everyone, right? So now we have the headers, we have the URL. We know from here what is the base URL you need. So I will come here and change that, right? And with this, we are 25% there. We have completed the method that sends the request to get the list of models. Now, the list, this method responds in certain way. It responds with this format: data, object, model, model, model. So I will assume this means it will return the model name here. Okay, so that means here in the response, whatever you get, like this is like in the response, you are in the root, right? Response is the root. Now has models. This is because the Ollama API responds with models, but the ChatGPT one responds with data. So if it has data, get the data from it, and what is there in data that has the model name? It seems it is called object, or maybe it is ID. You would need to experiment. So I will assume it is object. So just put it like this, and that's it. We are 50% there. Okay, because now we can read the models. Now, what about sending the chat messages? So that is chat completion. This is the API chat. What about this chat completions? Okay, this is the one I was looking for. So you can see the URL for this is like that. Okay, v1 chat completions. So I have a URL here, get chat URL. That is a function here. Okay, so instead of being API chat, is v1 chat completions. Okay, we have that. Now, what is the body we need to send? You can see an example here, right? This is the header and the authorization. The header and the authorization. We have that already. Now, you send model. So we don't need to change that. Does it require a stream? Let's check. Streaming means if you set it as true, the server will respond every few words. It will be sending messages for you to catch and read the message. That's the way the chats do this thing that seem to be writing, right? Because as they decide what to write, they send it to you as a REST message. We don't want that. What we want is to just get the full response in one shot. That's why we set streaming as false. Oh, for OpenAI, it defaults to false. For Ollama, you need to send it. Okay, so you could send it as false, or you could skip it. Let's just keep it there. And so we have a stream model. Now, what about messages? Messages contains this content that is role content, role content. This is the same syntax, role content, that you use in ChatGPT, and that is kind of a standard. So that's not even in this class. If there is some APIs that don't follow that format, maybe we can move that to this class. But for now, you can just assume that whatever you send to messages, the content you send is always expected in this format, and this is true in this case, right? So content is good as well. So this didn't need any changes, right? Let me check, just getting the URL. That's all the thing we changed. And with that, we are 75% there. Now we just need to read the response. All right, about reading the response, let's see what Olama does. So the response for the chat in Olama comes in this format. Model created, blah, 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 message, assistant, content, right? So this is what we want in Olama. And this is what we are getting, right? We are checking it has message, and then we are getting the content from that message. Now, how does that look in ChatGPT? Let's see response. It has, okay, it is choices, message, content. So instead of checking for message directly, you go choices, right? And choices, message, content. And that's it. I mean, you need to test it, right? I don't have a key for OpenAI, so I cannot test it right now. But let's see. I will save this. I will now. Okay, we are missing an important part. How can we tell the plugin to start using that? Well, you get the name of your script. You put it here. You click reload, and that's it. Now, when you send a request, let's say refresh models, oh, what happened? Error while trying to get model list, error, incorrect API key provided. Of course, right? I don't have an API. That's the reason I got this. But you can see I started interacting with the OpenAI endpoint now. So assuming you give a valid key, probably this is all you needed to do. So you may be thinking, hey, why don't you save this and include it in your plugin, right? If you already did it. That's because I don't want to include something I haven't tested. And also because this is a great opportunity for someone that has never contributed to an open source project to do a pull request and say, you know, my first contribution to open source was not fixing a typo in a documentation, right? It was integrating ChatGPT in a Godot plugin. Wow, sounds much better, right? Of course, that is if the AI doesn't take over the world, then you may regret this. But anyway, that's all what I wanted to cover. With that, I think I covered pretty much everything to great extent. If anything was missing and you want to point it out, leave a message there in GitHub discussions, and I will try to at least cover it in the documentation. And with that, we are done with this series of videos. Hope you find it useful in your game dev endeavors. Okay, thanks a lot and goodbye.